Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first talk in today's Singularity Summit. I'm here with the lovely Jessi Frey, and she is going to be talking about how to get confident like a rock star because, and I won't tell you the whole story, but Jessi was a former rock star, and she's been working with me in the Singularity Circle with all the amazing visionary women and men in the group. So Jessi, tell me more about how you decided and how you became the rock star.
So, well, obviously I grew up watching MTV back in the 80s. And I think it's a dream that a lot of people have. A lot of, people have when you're young, when you're a teenager, you look at, rock stars and celebrities and you just kind of think, oh, one day I'd like to be one. But the difference was that I actually meant it. I really felt that this was something that I wanted to do. I've always loved being on stage and singing and dancing and all this kind of stuff. So instead of just kind of growing up and getting a proper job, it was something that I really wanted to do and kept pursuing. The thing is that I wasn't really a natural born, like massive, great singer. I didn't have a big voice naturally. I went to music school, I went to music secondary school, and I really kind of went to I'm going to learn this. I'm going to do what, I'm going to get a teacher and I'm going to learn to breathe properly and get this big voice. And of course, I didn't. I was trying to do what I was told to do. And, some people find success like that, but it certainly didn't work for me. And it didn't work for the vision that I had for myself as a pop star rather than a professional musician or a vocal coach or anything like that. And I kind of hit, the sort of wall at when I graduated from my sixth form, and I tried to apply for academies to learn more music, and I wasn't accepted anywhere. I just wasn't really good enough, quite literally. I wasn't good enough. I didn't get in. But again, instead of giving up, I just started to kind of, withdraw from learning from other people, and I just looked into myself and said, well, what's the kind of music that I want to make? And I just started creating it myself instead of expecting somebody to give it to me or teach me, or I think this is something that's very typical for especially women or girls, is that you kind of hope to be discovered by someone or work with a producer or somebody who kind of gives you the songs and kind of makes you. And instead I just started writing for myself and recording my own voice, and just by doing it I started to discover my own voice and relax about it and experiment. And then my voice emerged. Of course, things like that don't happen overnight. You don't just kind of click one day and then it happens. You have to, it's a discovery, and it's and then it came out, and then nobody really I think there's kind of two other women in the world probably that can sing the way I do, because I got into industrial metal and I learned from guys. I was listening to a lot of guys and grunting and getting really kind of throaty deep voice, and a lot of people who were voice coaches and teachers told me that, oh, you'll be able to do that maybe a year and then your voice is ruined. And it never did, and I can still do it. I haven't been singing for a few years now, actively, professionally, and it's still there, and it just never goes away because it comes from me and what I actually discovered in my body and in my I really kind of had that vision for the voice. So that's kind of, well, after that happened, then things started to move really quickly. I put together a band, and we got signed a year later to Virgin Records, released our first album the year after, toured Europe, did another couple of albums, and so I was kind of doing it professionally and properly for about 10 years.
Wow. And the process that you got from, I knew that I wanted to do this by watching MTV, to discovering your voice, because that sounds like that was one chapter. And then after the discovery of the voice, there was a second chapter of, okay, gathering the people, asking for support, doing the tours, doing the thing. And then Virgin Records was that's the final chapter, okay, you're signed. And then you're okay, I did it. Tell, how long were those chapters?
Well, each chapter, to be honest, is probably about 10 years. I think in this kind of Insta culture that we have, you're expected to just kind of be discovered and then, boom, your Instagram account blows up and then you're like a superstar. And of course it happens, to some people. Some people kind of find it not, they maybe they're born with that, or they just kind of have that chance. But I think for people who actually have something to contribute, you need to, you can actually, do something special. It is a long process and you need to discover it. And in the end of the day, I think when you're an artist or when you're creative or whatever it is that you want to create, things mature, and it's you never actually arrive. And if you talk to any artist or any creative or any entrepreneur, or anybody who's kind of doing their own thing, they always say that, I just discovered this new thing, or I'm still learning, or, I'm only just a student, of this thing in the first place. So also you don't ever need to kind of like be this guru or have this feeling that now I know everything and I can just sit back and, let the money roll in. Especially, in this day and age when things move and change so quickly all the time. And if you're passionate and interested about the thing that you do, you are keen on exploring it all the time and learning more about your art and your trade.
Yes, and I love that you bring that up, especially in today's Insta culture, which is beautiful. It's great. You can instantly connect with the whole world. But at the same time, the thing that I think distinguished your success was you were mindful of like, this is what I want. And you kind of put the blinders on of everything else. And you're like, okay, I'm going to sit down. I'm going to discover my voice. I'm going to practice. I'm going to do until I discover this. And then once that's discovery, things start happening and releasing and manifesting. So after you did all of that and you realized your dream and you were one of the ones that, could be on MTV, what happened after that?
Well, then I came to the point when I felt that I wanted to move on. I wanted to move to other things. And I think that's another kind of lesson, I guess, about success, is that if you want something, you need to prioritize it. And for a long time, I prioritized my music and my band. And there were other things that I wanted to do and explore, but I didn't really have the space and the time to do it. And, there are people who juggle families and bands, and they have very supportive spouses who just kind of handle everything behind the scenes. But it didn't really feel, I wanted to kind of create other things in life than what my band members were. I'm from Finland, and the band happened in Finland, and I wanted to move to the UK. I'd lived in the UK before. I did my university degree here, and I really felt strongly that it was my kind of mental home, my home. And so I kind of had to make that decision of either I'm going to keep doing this or I'm going to move to the next chapter and just close this one. And it was quite a kind of, in one hand it was scary, and on the other hand it wasn't. The scary part was the fact that, okay, I've dedicated 10 years of my life and, kind of even more to doing this thing. So what am I going to do next? And kind of to just sort of pretty much kind of scrap everything that I'd been building before. And but at the same time, it wasn't scary because it was something that I really felt that I really wanted to do. And there were all these other things that I had on my mind that I needed to, that I wanted to go towards rather than hang on to some, form of glory. And I'm that kind of person as well, is that I'm quite quick to just kind of like quit and, well, not quit, but like move towards the unknown. Yeah, to move forward. And I'm always quite sort of forward leaning rather than like, okay, this is what I know, this is what I'm good at, so I'm just gonna like stick with this. I'm always like, okay, done there, been there, okay, time to like yeah, exactly. It's like, this is getting boring now. I kind of been there, seen it, done it. And the life on the road and life with the band is not as glamorous as it seems. In the end of the day, is kind of like driving vans and carrying heavy stuff and playing music in the middle of the night to drunk people. If you kind of strip out the art and the glitz and the glamour, everyday life in the end of the day was kind of starting to look like that. And I started to feel that I needed to go someplace else. And
one of the things I saw, that after you closed that chapter, you still used everything you learned within those 10 years with Nokia, and then also your own your first little entrepreneurial venture solo. If you want to tell us a little bit about that.
So after the band, I moved to the UK and got a job at Nokia, and I've been developing music software as a product developer. So I had a parallel career with my music on digital, corporate, which I actually really like. In a job like that, it was actually very flexible. Had I been working in a cafe, I would have been like scraping pennies and probably like being miserable every moment there. Whereas having a second job that was exciting, it was really flexible, because when you are actually kind of good at what you do, people are willing to give you flexibility. And in that kind of, in the sort of digital world, I think there's a lot of freedom, a lot of like experimentation. In many ways, it's an artistic environment as well. So I went to Nokia and I did that, and then I started to feel like I needed my next own project. So I started to experiment and do things on the side, and I came across doing natural cosmetics, and I started making them in my kitchen, and I was like, yeah, this is really cool. So I just put together a brand, and I launched my own natural cosmetics brand, and I manufactured and sold around 5,000 units of my own products from my kitchen and through my website. So that was something that I knew. I had just had a baby, so I didn't really have the time or space to go to the farmers market. So I just did it online the way that I knew. I did that for a couple of years, and then I felt that actually a physical product like that wasn't really my business. That I still felt that I was actually more of an ideas person rather than a product person. And I started to move back to the sort of digital world, which is what I do now. And I help ambitious and creative people to bring their ideas to life and to have the confidence to actually go forward with that.
Yes. And I know when we talk, you're just like me, where we're just like, this is what you have to do. Just do it.
Yeah.
But you're also, like you said, the ideas person and another collector of people, and looking how other people, how they become rock stars in their own realm, in their own industry. So tell me a little bit about that, this transition from playing with art to playing with technology, product development, to physical products in your kitchen, and now to ideas and playing with almost, it's not anything physical, it's not anything like that, but it's playing with people and ideas. Tell me more about this.
Well, I'm currently working on starting my own YouTube show and podcast called The Stardom Show. It's not out yet, but if you want to go to my website, jessifrey.com/stardomshow, you can just sign up to my waiting list. And I've just kind of realized that I'm really interested in people's stories, and, you know, how they became rock stars. This was actually what I was like learning a lot when I was as an artist, you know, just kind of like collecting interesting music and interesting people and networking with them, and just kind of getting really interested in other people who are doing things. And there are so many routes to success. There are so many ways of doing things that there is like, again, like back to the Insta culture. People like to ask, what's the one thing that you need to do in order to get signed? Or what's the one thing you need to do in order to make money online? And it's like, you know what? You can do anything. And that's the tricky part as well, because you can, but you need to find the thing that works for you.
Yes.
And that's why I think, you know, kind of collecting stories and networking with people and just having interesting conversations is something that I'm really excited to do. Because especially in the online world, you know, it's easy to connect with people. It's easy to see what they are about and what they talk about, and then actually, you know, start having those discussions with people. And, you know, as a podcast is a great way to actually then share those discussions with other people.
Yes. And yes. And I think that you touched on some great points with, give me the one way that I can get signed. Give me the 3 steps that will get me to this space. Whereas with your podcast, with your show, with the summit like this, is having open, transparent conversations of, yeah, I was a rock star. I did a cosmetics company. I was a product developer. But you used the same mindset and all of the stuff you've learned, which was collecting stories, networking with people, having conversations, and learning by doing that allowed you and has brought you to the place that you are now.
Yeah, and I think art and creativity and all that stuff comes from these two sides. You're collecting ideas. If you watch, Björk has written a song called Hunter, and it's all about the fact that you just collect, that she's collecting ideas, and those ideas become, the art. And that's really what it is about, that there is no one truth. Maybe for some people there are, but in the end of the day, I think the beauty comes from the putting these things together and you being the filter. So you collect ideas from the world and you absorb, and you kind of just make those choices because what draws you in, and then you're the filter. But then the important step that you need to take then is to put them back out. So you need to create, you need to take action. I think a lot of people are really hesitant on moving forward with their ideas because they want to make sure that it's going to be successful, or they want to make sure that this is the thing. And maybe it isn't, but you don't know if you don't do something. And okay, well, this is something that Steve Jobs said: you can't connect the dots beforehand, you can only connect them backwards, like by watching what you've done, and then you realized everything kind of was supposed to go like it did, or it all made sense because the way you kind of process things, or what you're interested, what you're drawn to. And I think that's an interesting way to look at things, is that like you don't have to figure it out 100% beforehand, because you probably make those choices a lot just by following the things that you're genuinely interested in. And that's what you should be also doing, is just kind of follow your interests and gather and explore and have fun. Because if you do it for like some external purpose, I need to make money, I need to make my parents happy, then you're not following, and then you're disconnected from, dislodged from what you really want to be doing. And however, like sort of like random it seems that I've done music, I've been signed, I've been a digital product developer, I've done like cosmetics, and now like I'm coaching. In the end of the day, it all kind of comes from the same place, which is finding ideas and processing them and creating something out of that and publishing it. And I don't know if it even needs to be any more than that. I don't think it needs to be anything more coherent than that. And perhaps, of course, my audiences change. People who listen to metal music are not necessarily interested in, natural cosmetics, and that's okay too. I think the interesting thing is just that, actually now as a coach, I realized that I can tap into everything, and it's wonderful. People come to me with all sorts of products and business ideas, and I always feel like I have something that I can, draw from, that I've kind of gone through it in one way or another.
Yes. And then in a way, you're almost like a mentor and a coach, because you've gone through the process. And I love how you use using the external world as your template, your canvas, your idea collection. You are the filter and the synthesizer, and the unique thing that you have is you as a filter, because nobody else will filter things how you will. And I think with your supporting people and being confident as a coach, is you're setting up their filter, helping them realize that they are a filter of all of these ideas, and making sure that they realize that there's no other filter like you.
Yes, and that's exactly what I always say, is that you are the niche. So, just doing the things the way that you do is enough in many cases to just kind of be different enough. I think this is an interesting thing. I've been thinking a lot about what's the difference between the old world and the old style of making business, and what the new world with the online is. That in the old world, you needed to kind of safeguard your secret, my secret recipe for Coca-Cola, and kind of like, how can you like hamper your competition so that they don't like steal my customers?
Exactly.
Whereas in the new world, it's much more like, you're doing the same thing as me. We should collaborate, because our audiences could probably be interested in each other, and one person can only do so much, or my twist to this to this idea is a little bit different. So we're probably going to double our businesses by just working together, even though we both provide the same service. And that's a huge mental shift in terms of how you like how you share your ideas, how you connect with people, how you stop like safeguarding and hiding your secrets and like being like aggressive towards other people, and instead, this buzzword which is so used, abundance. But it's true. Internet is full of abundance, and the world has gone from like limited resources to like this massive abundance, and that is a massive shift and like such a positive thing. Really incredible. And that's what I always think about like music as well, and art is like, you think a band goes there and like, oh, I don't want to play with them because they play similar music to us. It's like, no. It's like, hey, you're my kind of people. Let's tour together. And that's exactly what's happening, in the online businesses and online worlds.
Yes, and I'm seeing this slowly even become an offline thing as well, where I walked in with a friend to this really cute furniture store, and we're looking around and we're about to leave, and he says, hey, there's another really cool furniture store around the corner. You guys should check it out. I'm friends with the guy. And we're like, isn't that amazing? Like, you only would see that online, but usually people would not boast about their competitors, but he's saying, I don't have what he has, and he doesn't have what I have, but hey, here's another resource for you guys if that's what you're looking for. And I'm like, yes, this is what I'm talking about,
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, so this is so good. I'm so glad you came on today for the Storytelling Summit and for sharing your wisdom, your story, your experiences, because I haven't gone through that. I want to create the stage for you to share that with all of us. So if people were interested in checking out the podcast, and I know you have a few other things too to help with, being confident as the filter. How can people get in touch with you? And if they want to connect with you, where can they find you?
Just visit jessifrey.com, sign up to my email list, and you can stay in touch and get regular updates. I have a bunch of amazing pep talks. If you're not into meditation, if you need a bit of a kick in the butt, you can download them on your audio when you go on your run or walking your dog. You can get my pep talks that will definitely make you rise up. And check it out. There's also lots of other freebies and goodies there. So just head over to jessifrey.com and get in touch, or keep in touch.
Yes, beautiful. So that's Jessi Frey. It's JESSIFREY.com. And I've been listening to Jessi's pep talks in the morning because I do my self-care and morning ritual in the morning. And it's amazing because I do meditation, but then, you're really zened out, you're relaxed. And then when you need to take action or you're in the middle of like procrastinating, you just put on one of her pep talks. I have them in my Dropbox. I download them from her newsletter, and I put it in my Dropbox so I could just have it, and I have my headphones in. I'm like, oh yeah, I gotta work. I'm focused. I'm getting my butt in gear, and it's all good.
Yeah, they do work. They are. I think they work really well.
Beautiful. Well, thank you again so much, Jessi, for joining me today. And for those of you that joined us today, or you're catching the replay, do reach out to Jessi. She's an amazing resource. Listen to her pep talks. Check out her podcast. And looking forward to seeing you on the other Summit Talks. Bye.
See ya. Bye.